Daija Coleman has always had a passion for making a difference in the lives of others. Daija is currently a teacher for USD 409 Atchison Public Schools. She graduated from Washburn University in 2022 with a degree in education and is currently pursuing a master's degree from Northwest Missouri State University. Leadership has always been a priority for Daija, whether it be at the Kansas Youth Leadership Forum in 2017, participating in the Link Bonner Scholars in college, or serving as Miss Wheelchair Kansas 2023. Since being crowned Miss Wheelchair Kansas, Deja has enjoyed many different speaking events, such as Camp Milton, a summer camp for youth with neuromuscular disabilities, the Self Advocate Coalition of Kansas, or SAC, the Midwest Ability Summit, or speaking to college classes at Benedictine University, and many more. Deja's platform focused on the importance of advocating for the disability community with everyone in the community. She was inspired by her efforts at Washburn University to make Carnegie Hall, the education building, accessible for students in wheelchairs, and she could not have done that without the support of her peers and professors advocating alongside her. She knows that while her reign is ending, this is not the end of her advocacy journey. She hopes by being a role model for her students over the years, she will create numerous advocates who will go on to change the world just as she has. Moving forward, Deja would like to participate more with Miss Wheelchair Kansas after her reign is over. She will also continue being a leader and spreading her passion. Deja describes this as one of the most incredible experiences of her life and is excited to see what life has in store. Let's get started. Hi, Deja. Thanks for agreeing to sit down with me and
Hello.
share your story with our viewers.
I'm very happy to.
Yes, I'm
I'm
very
really excited.
okay. Well, I want to start by asking you a little bit about your upbringing. I know that you have cerebral palsy and you were adopted. So, how would you say those things have affected your outlook on life?
I think that they kind of coincide with each other. I was lucky to be adopted by a really supportive family, and they've always kind of pushed me to do my best and know that my disability does not hold me back from doing the things that I want to do in life. So I think that that really kind of helped push me into this role, you know, 24 years down the line. But I have really always kind of seen myself as an educator because I'm the only person in my family with a disability. So we kind of had to figure it out together what that looked like growing up and the things that I was able to do. And I had a really supportive community that was able to help me knock down some of those barriers as well.
Well, that's so great and amazing to hear that you have such a wonderful support system. And I'm sure that that tied into this opportunity as Miss Wheelchair Kansas. And I'd like to get into that a little bit. So, how did you hear about the organization?
Funnily enough, I had heard about it a few years before I ran. I remember I was probably about 15 and somebody approached me about running. But at that point, there wasn't a Little Miss program or anything like that. And they thought I was older than I was. So I had to explain that, I wasn't old enough yet, but maybe in the future. And then I had a couple of family members recommend me because they had friends from college or whatever that had competed. And I still wasn't sure that, I was the right person to be doing this type of thing. But I was really convinced when I was visited by one of our volunteers and she started sharing the story about how it impacted her niece to be part of Little Miss Wheelchair Kansas and the impact that her mentor had on her. And that was really kind of inspiring for me. And I told myself, I want to be able to do that for somebody. I want to be the role model that I never had growing up.
That is so amazing and inspiring, and I am absolutely certain that you have made that stride this year as Miss Wiltshire, Kansas
Well,
2023.
thank you.
So, as Miss Wiltshire, Kansas, you have to come up with a platform that you then use all year long to share a message that you believe is important with others. So, how did you decide what your platform was going to be?
I really kind of struggled with coming up with a topic that I thought would be impactful. But then I remembered that I wouldn't be where I am without the support of my community and the people around me. I got thinking back to my time at Washburn and the feat that I accomplished there with making the education building accessible, and how I wouldn't have been inspired to take that on without the help of my classmates and my professors. So it was really about this idea of community and how do we advocate to make our world a little bit better, not just for ourselves, but those with disabilities who come after us.
That's amazing, and I'm sure that you have had a great impact on the community during your time. If you had to pick one event thus far in your journey that you enjoyed the most or you felt was the most impactful, what would you say that that was?
I would have to say it was probably the Midwest Ability Summit because I learned about things that I hadn't really known were out there. Like adaptive sports, that wasn't something that was readily available in my area. So that was cool to see people like me competing in a variety of sports. The most sporty thing I did was show choir in high school, and again, I was the only student who participated that had a disability. So it was kind of cool to expand my horizons on that front, and also learning about all the different types of accessible transportation as I'm looking into that as I get older and start living on my own more.
That's so exciting, and I'm sure was an incredible resource. So, as Miss Wheelchair Kansas, you get the opportunity to compete at the national level. Would you share a little bit about your nationals experience and what that was like?
Nationals was absolutely incredible for me. I was fortunate enough to compete against women from 18 other states. I left with 18 best friends that I am in contact with regularly. I never had very many disabled friends growing up because again, I was the only one who was involved in things in my community. And so it was kind of lonely. So being able to hang out with people that really understand the day-to-day struggles of being in a wheelchair, even though we all have different disabilities and different characteristics about us and things that we go through, we understand each other on a level that nobody else will because we have the same day-to-day struggles. It completely blows my mind still to this day that I got first runner up at the national competition, but I also feel very fortunate because I feel like I'm right where I need to be. I'm able to support uh, my wheel sisters, as we call ourselves, through what they need to do, and also remember that there are countless platforms that we could all be advocating for, and they are all equally just as important. And we only get to accomplish them when we work together like that.
That is an amazing way to look at things, and I'm so excited that you got so much out of that experience. I'm sure, as you said, those relationships and friendships will be lifelong, and that's always amazing. I want to ask you, going into this, did you have an overall goal or a couple of key things that you wanted to do? And if you did, what were they? And do you feel you accomplished them?
I feel like my goal throughout this entire process was do the best that I can with what I have, whether that was winning the competition or just being a part of it and taking in the experience that, is once in a lifetime. I think that I have done that and I have done as much as I can this year to leave the world a better place by creating countless advocates that will do incredible things in the future, I'm sure. But I've also gotten some new experiences. For example, we went out to dinner as a group one of the first nights of the state competition. And that was the first time that I had ever sat around a dinner table where we actually had to find chairs for people instead of take them away. That was a really defining experience for me.
I'm sure it was. That's amazing. And I'm so glad that you get the opportunity to share that growth that you experienced throughout this process. As Miss Wiltshire, Kansas, you get the opportunity to mentor the current Little Miss Wiltshire, Kansas, Olivia. So, could you share a little bit about that relationship and what the two of you have done together?
Like I said, that I never really had a person with a disability to be my role model when I was Olivia's age. So I think that it became really important to me to really be a strong mentor for her and show her all the things that she is capable of in this world. We've done a lot of advocacy events together where we go around and talk to people about our experiences. One of my favorite events besides the Midwest Ability Expo, she was there with me too. Olivia does a lot of sports, so she introduced me to the world of adaptive sports. I think that brought us really close together. But one of my other favorite events besides that was one of the first conferences we did. It was the Self Advocate Coalition of Kansas, or SAC conference. And we were able to meet people, greet people, tell them about our experiences. But we also gave a presentation about our experiences and how important they are for not just us to have, but everybody in our communities to have, to be able to amplify our voices, disabled people, to create real change.
That is incredible, and I'm sure it was a great experience for both of you. And again, I'm sure this relationship between yourself and the little miss will be something that is lifelong, and you guys will continue to hopefully, even after you've given the title to someone else, go on to have great experiences. So our event is coming up and you will be handing over the title. Are you excited about that? What do you look forward to about our upcoming event?
I would say it's very bittersweet for me to be giving up my title. I am sad that I will no longer be doing the events and wearing the crown as the entity, so to speak. But I'm very excited to see what our next title holder is capable of and all the growth that she will have over the next year, and just kind of be a support person in the background to build her community and amplify the things that she wants to do with her reign.
That sounds incredibly exciting. And I have one more question for you before we wrap up. What would you say to someone who is considering participating in Miss Wiltshire, Kansas, but might be a little hesitant?
I would say go for it, because even though it might sound a little daunting at first, this is probably one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life, and I will cherish it forever.
That is amazing, and I'm sure someone will very much appreciate that advice. Deja, I want to thank you so much for sitting down with me and giving
Absolutely.
me the opportunity to allow you to tell your story, share your journey as Miss Wiltshire, Kansas 2023 with our viewers, and getting your message out onto our YouTube channel. I am sure so many more people will be touched and encouraged by the things you have had to say. So, again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Hillary.